Hello, this is Lexi Unger.
And I'm Carly Prosick, here on Friday, October 11th, with your current events for this week.
A big international story of this week is that body recovery is still going on from the shipwreck off the coast of the Italian island of Lampedusa. An estimated 500 African immigrants were thought to have been aboard the smuggler ship for 13 days before the engine stopped just half a mile off the island's coast. A few immigrants reported seeing Italian boats circling their ship, but they did nothing to help and just sailed away. The ship's captain told the passengers to set fire to clothes and blankets to attract attention. While the captain set fire to clothes, his container of benzene exploded. The fire then spread, and when many of the immigrants crowded to one side, the boat capsized. The Coast Guard reported they were on site 20 minutes after the tragedy, but the immigrants on board say that the Coast Guard initially ignored their calls, but then eventually showed up. The immigrants say that bystanders were more interested in capturing footage of the wreck instead of helping. This week, the Coast Guard has reported just 155 immigrants survived, and most, if not all, are from the Horn of Africa or Eritrea. Bodies are still being spotted and pulled ashore currently. A disproportionate number of the dead are women. So far, the bodies of 75 women have been recovered, while only 6 of the survivors are female. 7 of the dead are children. The immigrants left the Horn of Africa to leave poverty and hardship behind. Many of the people wanted to be able to provide for their family and have enough money for food and to be able to pay for a home, but instead were caught in the middle of a horrible accident and most even killed. Over to you, Carly, with a national story.
Hello, and here's a national story concerning our military. The Pentagon and lawmakers on Capitol Hill pledged to restore promptly the military death benefits that the government shutdown has cut off from families, as the remains of 4 U.S. soldiers arrived today at Dover Air Force Base. The government shutdown that went into effect on October 1st has put a stop to the $100,000 military check military families receive when a loved one dies in uniform. The number of families not receiving the death benefit has risen to 26 since the beginning of the shutdown, including the families of service members who died in Afghanistan. President Obama was very disturbed to learn that the Department of Defense is unable to pay the death benefits and expects the issue to be fixed today. Obama was not pleased to learn of this problem and has directed the White House press secretary and lawyers to find a solution. Responding to the call, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel today said that the death gratuity would be restored thanks to funds from a private foundation. The families are now receiving all the benefits they were previously promised and the $100,000 check death gratuity payment from the Fisher House Foundation. On Capitol Hill, the House voted unanimously to restore the death gratuity to the families of the fallen. The vote passed 425-0, with 228 Republicans and 197 Democrats supporting it. Thankfully, the government shutdown hasn't completely cut off funds to important national problems. Now back over to Lexi with another international story.
On Wednesday, October 9th, an Afghani security official reported a suicide car bombing had occurred in southern Afghanistan, killing 4 people, 2 policemen and 2 civilians. Police spokesman for southern Helmand province, Shamam Nurtzi, says the attack took place in the Gereshk district. According to Nurtzi, the bomber targeted a police patrol and blew up his car next to a police vehicle in a crowded area of the town of Gereshk. Not only did it kill 4 people, but the explosion also wounded 3 civilians and a police officer. Helmand's provincial spokesman, Omar Zwak, says this has not been the only attack. Another in Gramsir district killed 2 people when the fuel truck they were driving struck a roadside bomb. This is all due to Afghani rebels planting an increasing number of bombs across the entire country in a campaign to retake territory as foreign forces withdraw from Afghanistan. Now back to Carly with another national story.
On October 9th, a man with an assault-type rifle fired up to 24 rounds at the federal court building in Wheeling, West Virginia, before security officers returned fire, critically wounding the gunman. One security officer within the Wheeling Federal Building was injured by flying debris, but no other injuries were reported. The gunman's name was not released, and he is being hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. Investigations were seeking a search warrant for the gunman's home in hopes of determining the motive and if he acted alone. The investigators can't determine if he had any beef with the U.S. government. The man began firing from a parking lot from the federal building and was observed very quickly after the first shots were fired. Courthouse security and local police ultimately returned fire and hit the man. This situation infringes on the third branch of government. This crime will most likely come up in future gun law debates and fuel the advocates for stricter gun laws. Since our country is trying to tighten security and restrict gun use, this may be another reason that the U.S. needs to decide on how to proceed with gun control. Well, that's all for this week's Press Briefing Friday. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Carly Prosick.
And I'm Lexi Younger.
Thanks for watching.